What's going on, everybody? It's the Fett here with another depressing podcast after another sweep. The Baltimore Orioles this time swept by the lowly Detroit Tigers. Just embarrassing, flat out. I'm at a loss for words, really. This isn't going to take long for this episode. I understand that there are bad baseball teams and there are good baseball teams. And I understand that my team is perhaps one of those very, very bad baseball teams. Not because we don't have talent, just because probably one of the most crucial areas of the game we lack, and that is pitching as we know it. Pitching wins championships, not just starting pitchers, but bullpen, closers, setup, men, everything, all over. Your starting pitcher goes 6 strong innings. You'd like 5 or 6 strong innings, and then you go to the bullpen. You get some long relief guys before you hit the setup man, before you hit the closer, right? Not with the Baltimore Orioles. Not for a very, very long time, since about 2014 when Zach Britton was fully healthy and Chris Tillman was an ace. Those years are long behind us, Orioles fans, as, I don't even know where to begin. But 2018, we were swept by the Detroit Tigers after being swept by the Houston Astros this year already, as well as the Boston Red Sox. So let me get into Game 1. Both teams came in at 5 wins. Tigers, let me rephrase that. The Tigers came in at 4 wins and ended up with 5 wins. Tigers, after beating us in Game 1, became 5-9, while the Orioles dropped to 5-12. The good? Well, Trey Mancini's batting average after this game was up to .299. He went 2 for 4 with a home run and an RBI. That's all I got for the good. I don't know if you guys watched, but this series is one I thought we could have swept the Tigers. I thought we had the upper hand. I thought we had better bats. I thought even against the lowly Tigers, we might have had better pitching. Boy, was I wrong. Just overall terrible, horrible pitching. Not in Game 1, I should rephrase it. Game 1, Game 2 even. We did not. It's either no run support or you get bombarded in the first 2 innings. So let's jump into this. Like I said, the good was Trey Mancini. He's just been on fire since he's been batting in that leadoff role. The Orioles lose 2-4 to the Tigers in Detroit. Let's get into the bad. Andrew Cashner, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 runs, and 5 Ks. Took the L. And not really much to say on that. Cashner had a decent start. I mean, he only gave up 3 earned runs. He went 6 innings. 7 hits is a little much, but hey, 5 strikeouts, It's more than what Chris Tillman's given us. So Cashner is proven, bang for his buck right now at this stage in the season, considering what he got contract-wise. He's making about $6.5 million off us, and, it is what it is. He's an average pitcher. So the ugly, I got to go with the bats overall. Just the bats have been horrible. I mean, 6 for 31, 12 strikeouts, 2 runs in the second inning, but after that, nothing. So mighty Chris Davis has shown his worth, ladies and gentlemen, as he once again had 3 strikeouts. Now, I keep bringing Chris Davis up because I like Chris Davis. At one point in time, I thought he was worth the money. That point in time was at the end of the 2015 season. And here we are, 2018, and I'm scratching my head like, we got a deal. The dude signed a 7-year contract with us, and we promised to pay him about $23 million a year. That's horrible. That's an atrocity. We are being taken to the wood chipper, Orioles fans, and there's nobody to blame. It's not even Chris Davis's fault. I blame Dan Duquette. and the ownership team, Angelos, what were you guys thinking? A 7-year contract to a guy who had a 2-year flash? Oh, he would have been a free agent. He would have left. Well, at this point, I would rather see him strike out in another uniform instead of my team's. Just embarrassing. You know, they took the loss game 1, 2-4. Game 2 was a lot closer. The Orioles still lost 5-6. Gauze pitched. You know, I can't even really be mad about Gausman's stat line because it's listed as the good for me. He went 6 innings, gave up 9 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks, but he gave up 2 home runs. Never good when you give up 2 home runs, but you know, those are the only 2 earned runs he gave up. But 9 hits, yeah, it's a little excessive. He went to 6 innings. He got 4 Ks. It's more than Gausman gave, or Tillman, sorry. Gausman gave us those 4 Ks. Tillman hasn't given us crap. And the other good I have is Manny went 2 for 4. The Tigers increased their win total to 6, became 6-9, while the Orioles dropped to 5-13. Too little, too late. Pitching just atrocity, as you're going to hear me list off some stats regarding the bad and the ugly. The bad was the bats. 7 for 33. I mean, don't get me wrong, those 7 hits produced 5 runs, but they also had 10 strikeouts. So they went down from 12 in game 1 to 10. I don't know. I'm just at a loss. I don't blame Buck. I don't blame, you know, the hitting coach right now. It's just, it's early, it's cold, the bats aren't warmed up, and I don't know if they're going to be warmed up this year, guys. What you're seeing right now is Manny Machado, you know, carry the flag for the bats, and you know, he's not always going to go 2 for 4. You know, Trey had an off day. I think he was 1 for 4, and man, just ugly. I got to give the ugly to Mr. Darren O'Day with his second blown save of the year. 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, 3 earned runs, and that 8th inning bled. And that's where O'Day pitched for us, and he blew the save. We had the opportunity, and it was gone due to pitching. Now, Darren O'Day, I can't really complain about him as much. He is 35 years old. He's on a 4-year deal, and he's signed through 2019. He's been one of our more solid relief guys out of the pen. Just not this year so far. 2 blown saves now. It's getting to be familiar. That ugly sidearm motion type of pitcher he is, man, he just lays stuff across the plate, and people just kill it. Doesn't have the velocity or the speed on his fastballs anymore. And, you know, teams aren't as worried about that sidearm throwing motion anymore as guys, you know, play against that throughout their career. Too little, too late. Like I said, pitching, the O's drop another one, and they drop to 5-13. This is their, I believe their 5th loss in a row here in Game 2. Just unbelievable. Can't make this stuff up, people. I mean, I'm reading the stats to you. I watched some of these games as much as I could stomach. I watched some replays. I really, I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to decipher between the cold bats and the abysmal pitching. So let's get Game 3 over with. They lose 13-5. And to complete the sweep, the Tigers increase to 7-9, brings them 2 games from 500, and the Orioles drop to 5-14, ladies and gentlemen. That's 6 in a row, 2 straight sweeps. Hideous. I'm going to go start this one differently with the ugly. It's got to go out to Mr. Cobb. You know, we're paying him big money. I mean, we gave him a 4-year, $57 million contract and 2 starts. He's lasted 3.1 innings. Blown up. 3.1 innings pitched, 10 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned, 4 Ks, and a strikeout. 4 Ks in 3 innings, right? You think, oh, that's not bad. It's pretty decent. Not when you're giving up 10 hits, 7 runs, and 5 earned runs. Just, I mean, Wright Jr. came in. He lasted 3.1 innings, and he gave up similar stats. He didn't give up 7 runs, but he only lasted 3.1 innings pitched, and gave up runs. Here's my thing with Mike Wright Jr. Number 1, he should not be a starting pitcher. And number 2, I don't know, guys. The pitching staff that was put together this year, the back end of the rotation, some of the guys out of the pen. I mean, if you look at our bullpen, a majority of these guys are Rule 5 guys. For you guys that don't know what a Rule 5 is, those guys have to play a certain amount of innings, or I believe they cost the Orioles international signings / draft picks. So you don't want to just have those guys not play. Or, you want to try to bust them out early. You want to get them to where they need to be so that you're not affected by the Rule 5. Next podcast, I'll provide more clarification on that for us. But back to the right thing. I mean, dude's proved he can't be a starter, and dude's now proven he can't be long relief. And Buck's got his hands tied. This is what management's given him. It says work with it. You need to win. I don't know of any general manager. I mean, even the great Terry Francona, that I have a lot of respect for, that could make a lineup like this work. Buck's doing what he can with the bats. He's doing what he can with the rotation, even the bullpen. Like I said, I'm a big Buck supporter. I don't want to see him go. I think he's a great skipper. His record might not reflect it the last couple of years, but his management hasn't dealt him all the cards. And I know you're just supposed to win. It's pro sports and stuff, but let's be honest. All right? It's no different than everybody else at work. If your manager doesn't give you the materials you need to succeed and still expects you to get the job done, is that really going to work out? Probably not. And we're seeing that with the Orioles right now. I hate to be blunt, honest, and tied into real life because it's just a sport. These guys, we just don't have the pitching. We don't have the long-term relief. We don't have the experience. And the bats are getting old. Manny's about to leave, and I think you're starting to see that. And what we're about to do is we're about to bury our head in the sand for the next 10 years, next decade, trying to figure out how to rebuild this thing. And honestly, it starts with ownership. If you're not going to spend money, or you're going to spend money in the wrong places, there's going to be problems. And this is going to be a long-term effect because I'll get to this after I finish up a couple more stats about Game 3, but I have an idea of what we should do, guys. But like I said, the ugly was Cobb and Wright both going 3.1 innings pitched and giving up all the runs. I mean, 13 runs to the Detroit Tigers. So let's go with the bad. Obviously, you guys know the pitching was terrible. The second and the fifth innings were killer. And guess what I have here? Chris Davis. 2 more strikeouts to his total. I mean, is anyone surprised that I'm bringing up his strikeouts almost every game? Probably not. Do you think management, Buck, GM, ownership, you think anybody else cares? I mean, I get it. These guys are players, they're humans too, but what you're seeing is we are paying for a lot of strikeouts as fans. That strikeouts aren't something you want to pay for as a baseball team. Ownership, fan, player. I mean, I don't know. He's gotten off to probably one of the worst starts I've seen him ever. And I mean, I can't justify $23 million against the our total salary. You can't point to one stat. What? Oh, he's an everyday first baseman. Trey could be an everyday first baseman. Trumbo could be an everyday first baseman. But yeah, Trumbo's hurt. Trey's left field. Well, they didn't plan this very well, did they? The good, they hit 3 home runs off Zimmerman, the starting pitcher for the Tigers. The bats were 14 for 39. A little bit better. But still, if you put up 5 runs, you can't win a baseball game. You got a pitching problem. not a hitting problem. Today was not a hitting problem. They gave them run support, but they're already buried in a hole thanks to Cobb and Wright Jr. He didn't help anything when he came in. So in conclusion, when you score 12 runs and you lose to a team that scored 23, I think we all know what the problem is here. Inconsistency of the bats in games 1 and 2, tied in with the abysmal pitching that the Baltimore Orioles have. And guess what? You got swept by probably the worst team in the AL Central. Everyone, what about the Royals? Well, the Royals are bad too, and we're probably going to play them, and we're probably going to get swept by them. So, oh man. At 5-14, I'm looking at how we fix this, guys, all right? And I'm looking at it as a contract thing. All right, right now, honestly, the first thing I would do is, as the season progresses, I would try to pump Trumbo's numbers up, get him plate appearances. Hopefully he comes back swinging hard. And I would try to trade him to an AL Air contender for a prospect or two. Not a rental, a prospect or two. And here's what I'm doing. I'm promoting Austin Hayes. Same thing goes with Bratch and Britton. If someone needs a closer, a setup man, and they have some prospects that can help us, because we're looking still kind of thin. We're not the worst farm system in the majors anymore. That changed about 3 years ago, but we're still in the bottom half. And I think right now a future rebuild is in the cards with Manny leaving and Britton going to be a free agent next year. I mean, why not? And of course the excuse is, well, Britton's hurt. This is his last year of his contract, so let's hold on to him and let's sell Brock. Well, Brock ain't worth anything right now. He's blown a save. He's got a couple saves too, but I don't know if we're going to get what we want for him. I mean, unless it's a package deal, and who knows who's going to need a closer and setup man. And who knows prospect-wise what we could get for them or deals, and if management's even open to that. So that's my idea for Trumbo. I have in big bold letters here on my sheet. Do not re-sign Chris Tillman. Okay? Chris Tillman right now, he's making $3 million. All right? That $3 million needs to go to something else. Chris Tillman, man, I loved you, like I said, in 2014-15 when you were the ace of the staff, man, but you're not an ace anymore. I don't even know if you can work out of the bullpen short term. So maybe we'll see that down the season as the season starts going down the tank. But as for contracts, we got to restructure Chris Davis down to around $15 million. That will save us $8 million in cap space. And we have O'Day as well for the next this season and next season. Next season, I'm restructuring him from 9 to 5. That saves $4 million. So between Davis and O'Day, that clears $12 million of cap space for us. Now, will they be upset? Yes. But they're on the wrong side of 30, guys. You cannot give a 30-year-old player a 7-year contract paying $23 million and expect him to keep up the production. And same thing with O'Day. I mean, you're seeing it already this year. He is just getting teed off on. And he's he's a wily old veteran, but he's getting rocked. 2 blown saves already. So we saved $12 million in cap space. The rest of the cap I'm looking at is, maybe we try to sign Gentry. He's only making about 900 G's. Alvarez, let him walk. It's $1 million you save. $1.2 million if you let Valencia walk. And then listen to this. You let Tillman walk and don't re-sign him. He's making $3 million. Rasmussen, who's on the DL, goodbye, $3 million. Brock is scheduled, I believe... Yeah, he's making $5 million this year. Sorry, trade him or let him walk. Britton is counting for $12 million on the cap, and he's not even going to play until July. So you have 1, 2, 3, 9, 14 million plus the 12 of Britton. Okay, so it's 26 plus the 16 that Manny's getting paid this year because I just don't think we're going to have the space. So I'm already counting them out, man. That's 26 and 16 is $42 million we have in cap next year. And we're going to need to replace everybody from a shortstop, unless you move Tim Beckham over. And the only saving grace here, Ryan Mountcastle in our prospects. Shortstop. He's the future. Is he the next Manny? No. But could he ease the pain watching the next big thing come up? Nah. Probably not, but it's worth a shot. So you take that $42 million and you add in the $12 million you save with restructuring Chris Davis and Darren O'Day. All of a sudden, you got $54 million to play with. Dan Duquette and Angelos and the Orioles ownership. What are you going to do with it? With my luck, you guys would probably sign someone like Adrian Gonzalez and who else is probably try to bring somebody in like a Brad Peacock, and that's not what we need. It just needs to be a tear down, a rebuild. Promote the young guys. I mean, we drafted DL Hall. He's young. I mean, we got a bunch of good young guys in the system, from what I read. And I'm going to go to a couple of Bowie games when they come up to play against the Rubber Ducks. But it's time to maybe promote some of that talent, let it grow at the major league level. I mean, this season's already a dumpster fire. 5-14. I am not optimistic about the Indians series. The Cleveland Indians projected to win the AL Central. The Twins finished second to them, and they took 2 out of 3 from us in the opening series. So, I mean, they could have their middle relief guys pitch against us and strike us out. I mean, they could have Tomlin and whoever else. But the key is, I just don't think this Orioles team, with the way it's structured, with everybody in their 30s except Manny and a couple other guys, Trey and Scoop, they at least is competitive between two teams. You have an already rebuilding, excuse me, you have an already rebuilding Devil Rays team, and you also have the Blue Jays, who are probably going to start their rebuild here soon. Now, you never have to worry about the Yankees or the Red Sox rebuilding because they have the money to go get whoever they need or want. Do they got a decent farm system? Yeah. Does it always pan out for them and their prospects? No, because they either make a playoff push trade, or an off-season trade, or they just flat out go pay somebody. Or Derek Jeter might just give them everything from the Marlins. Who knows? Only time's going to tell. If you stomach through this episode this long, I want to thank you for listening. We actually have our first sponsor, which is going to be A&B Masonry, your first and second option for Northeast Ohio Masonry. If you give them a shout out, look them up online. Good people, easy to work with. Great work, great quality work. So, my O's fans, if you're out there, start buckling down because it's about to start getting ugly. Back-to-back sweeps, and I'm sure the Indians have the same thing in mind. And being a bird in Northeast Ohio, I dread this time of the year the most. Normally we split with them, and I'm pretty confident. I've been to a lot of games up at the Jake when the Birds come to town, and we split with them. We play well, but how we're playing right now, oh man. Join me to. Hopefully you guys are watching them tonight. Hopefully they can pull some Oriole magic out. I would love to see them reverse the sweep and put it on the Tribe, but just probably won't happen. So this is the Fett, and I have done the recap here on our team playing the Tigers, and we are terrible. And you guys have a lovely day.